Apache. In the early days, a name to conjure with across a word of terror in the Southwest, in the lonely places, and in the frontier towns. From this secret stronghold, they swooped down into the family ranches to leave them plundered and burned terror in their hearts. Today, the ghosts of this past stalk the Southwest. Their memories are kept alive in the names of the country, in county and village and town. But all is changed. The Apache stronghold in the mountains is now a memorial park, and the descendants of its warriors live peacefully along the Gila River and in the White Mountains of eastern Arizona. Their homes often hug close to the streams in the forests of their green reservations. Some live in modern cottages, but more often they build the brush wickiup of their forefathers amongst the pastures and in the fields. Because the early tribe moved from place to place, they learned to build only temporary homes out of the materials at hand. A framework of poles covered with layers of brush or bear grass, tied down by thongs of buckskin or twine. The wickiup is a snug, dry home against the weather. Nomads as they were, the early tribe fashioned baskets for durable carryalls. Roomy and unbreakable, the hampers moved tribal goods on animal back across the rugged country. In later times, the baskets were decorated with designs and fringes of buckskin. And the Apaches today are known for their outstanding basket work. From the willows and brush growing along the streams, the older women still weave fine baskets of all shapes and sizes for various uses. The shallow, all-purpose baskets are fine in texture and design. Even the water jug is a basket, for the toos, or water jar, is common to the tribe. It has a wide mouth and narrow neck and is of coarser weave. When completed, it is covered with hot pitch, rosin gathered from the pinon trees and heated. When cool, this pitch seals the basket to a glossy, watertight jar. In the Apache country, there are few wells, and water is carried from springs or streams. And the Apache women transport this water in a basket, the toos. And by a modern metal dipper, these jars from ancient times are filled from the clear running stream, the water made pure by the current. These baskets are practical in size, some holding a gallon or more. The cork, a bundle of leaves and switches, is then stuffed into the top. The filled jar is swung into position. The thong or cord is placed across the forehead, and in time-tried fashion, the heavy weight of the jar is supported by both forehead and back. Later, in the shade of the wickiup, the unbreakable toos serves as a cistern to store and cool its contents. Beside the streams, the Apache children play. And beside the streams in the green valleys, purebred Herefords graze. For the Apaches have taken the pleasant reservation given them and turned it into one of Arizona's finest cattle ranches. 2 herds are owned by the entire tribe for breeding stock and tribal welfare. The rest belong individually to the Indians. The owners have organized cattle associations and with business foresight have elected their own directors to decide the rules of ownership. At roundup time, in spring and fall, the herds are branded. Each Apache owner burns his own brand along with the ID of the Indian Department on his herd. And twice a year, the great Apache cattle sales are held. the beef brings top prices. These sales attract buyers from more states than any other sale in the Southwest, for the buyers know they will find only the best quality in the Apache herds. Previous to the fall sales, there are tribal social gatherings, and in the quiet summer months are held the pollen blessing ceremonies, the coming out parties of the shy daughters of the wealthy Apache cattlemen. Sometimes one family presents its daughter alone. Other times, the girls of 2 or 3 families are presented, with each having her individual day of ritual during the several days celebration. Friends and relatives are invited from far and near. They arrive by horseback or lowly burro. They come by auto and covered wagon, and even on foot. The Apache babies, fat and healthy, arrive by cradle board, at home on these, although away from home. They are held in and protected and held upright by careful strapping. And they see the world from their mothers' backs. The men, even the little ones, wear the traditional Levi's. The girls and women, in calico or satin, wear the equally traditional Apache dress of full skirt and short, full Mother Hubbard blouse. Beadwork decorates some costumes. The visitors camp near the spot where the dance will be held. Beef hangs from the trees in the camp, butchered and presented by each host from his fat herds. And at the dance the next day, in front of the honorary daughter, baskets of fruit and goodies line the center of the dance space. They are proud proof of the host's wealth and generosity. Although meant to be distributed later to the visitors, some guests just can't wait. Early morning though it is, the dance begins. In back of the young debutante is a chosen group of friends and relatives of the family. Men who accompany the rhythmic beat of the drums with the chant of songs. Beside each girl is usually her sponsor, an older woman who knows the ceremony. The girl's dress is often yellow, the color of sacred pollen. Friends, face to face in pairs or in lines of several, swing slowly back and forth to the rhythm of drums and chant of songs. Grandmothers dance and baby tend. Others just baby tend. This pollen blessing ceremony is a tribal ritual of the Apaches to test the endurance of the girl child as she becomes a woman. It's an exhausting trial. Hour after hour, the initiate beats out the rhythm of the chant with her body. Near one corner of the blanket where the ritual takes place is the small bowl of sacred pollen to be used later in the ceremony. In each case, the ancient ritual is set by tradition. The girl is laid prone, facing to the east. Her body is probed and kneaded so that she may always be supple and be blessed with good health. Then, by tread of moccasined foot, is determined her strength of nerve and sinew. Friends join in the next part of the ritual, the cane run. This gaily bedecked age stick indicates she will live long enough to need a cane. The cane is planted a short distance in front of her, and in a quick run, followed by sponsor and friends, she circles the cane before it is returned to her for further dancing. To the 4 directions, the lively cane run is repeated. And the ceremony unfolds to the solemn and impressive pollen blessing, when the yellow powder is sprinkled by sincere and loving friends on the head of the young initiate and her sponsor. thereby ensuring strength and fertility and all good things to the young girl, as well as to her friends who participate in the age-old ceremony. And so the ritual progresses all through the hours. And when day is done, out of the darkness come the famous masked devil dancers, the mountain spirits of the Apaches. The dancers posture fantastically as they symbolize the supernatural spirits from the mountains. To the jingle of bells and the throb of drums and chant, they add their weird cries. Late into the night, they dance to quell the evil spirits and to bring good to the girl. Finally, they vanish into the darkness. Next day, the tribe returns to its placid daily life with the past forgotten in the vigorous, routine tasks. Warriors busy at peace with the warlike past only in the rocky crags and in the brooding battlements of the ancient Apache stronghold. And village and town. But all is changed. The Apache stronghold in the mountains is now a memorial park, and the descendants of its warriors live peacefully along the Gila River and in the White Mountains of eastern Arizona. Their homes Apache. In the early days, a name to conjure with across a word of terror in the Southwest. In the lonely places, temporary homes out of the materials at hand, a framework of poles covered with layers of brush or bear grass, tied down by thongs of buckskin or twine. The wickiup is a snug, dry home against the weather. Nomads as they were, often hug close to the streams in the forests of their green reservations. Some live in modern cottages, but more often, they build the brush wickiup of their forefathers amongst the pastures and in the fields. Because the early tribe moved from place to place, they learned to build only and in the frontier towns. From this secret stronghold, they swooped down into the family ranches to leave them plundered and burned terror in their hearts. Today, the ghosts of this past stalk the Southwest. Their memories are kept alive in the names of the country, in county,